Time to start my seeds today. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. Now that I got my rototiller going, I was able to till up the ground of my garden area. Eventually, I want to go for that back to Eden style garden. So that takes a lot of work of hauling buckets and buckets of forest floor material off my mountain and bringing it down here and dumping it in the beds. I did part of it right here on my blueberries, and it seems to be doing wonderful. I poured some coffee grounds around the blueberries too, and the blueberries are doing great. Most of the garden is going into raised beds, and this particular portion of the garden right behind me here is going to be a sister garden or companion cropping. Native American Indians used to incorporate sister crops, is what they called it. What they did is they planted their squash, which would spread out all over the ground, and the leaves of the squash would create a ground cover. The corn would grow up through the ground cover, so it'll keep the ground moist and keep back the weeds. As the corn grew, they planted their beans at the base of the corn, and the beans used the corn stalks as a trellis to grow up on. This is a very smart way of growing. I also noticed that in the Native American culture, when they dug their little hole, they put a couple of chunks of fish down there with a corn seed to add the nitrogen and other elements for the corn to be able to grow, and the beans. Now what the beans do is they create nitrogen for the corn to grow. So they have a symbiotic relationship. Actually, all three plants have a symbiotic relationship, meaning that one uses the other and thrives off the other. With the corn using the nitrogen to grow from the beans that the beans create to fixate the nitrogen in the soil, the corn provides a trellis on which the beans can grow up. And so that in and of itself is a companion crop. Now the squash will cover the ground and hold in the moisture to the ground so you don't have to water it so often. So without needing to water it so often, the corn creates a shade for the squash so they won't get sunburnt and stuff like that. But anyway, they're all companion crops, and that's what I'm preparing to do here. So up in my seed bed, I'm going to plant my seeds in those Dixie cups, at least start the squash and the beans and the corn in the Dixie cups in my brooder that's doubling as a seed starting bed. Now this corn cob is the biggest ear of corn that I grew last year off of my crop. And so the biggest ear of corn I saved back, I hung it in the rafters in my shed, and the heat dried out the seeds. So I'm going to replant these seeds this year and try to get them to grow. Look at those seeds coming right off of there. Now they found seeds from corn or maize in the ziggurats, the South American pyramids, and they would sit there for, hundreds, if not a couple thousand years. And I believe it's in Mayan or the Incan culture. I believe it was the Mayan culture that they found these on. And so these seeds were preserved and they grew. And this was a couple decades ago that they did this. So corn seed will last. Now if you do this with your corn, make sure your corn is not like a GMO or a hybrid type thing where they actually turn off the mechanism in the seed to not regenerate a new seed. Some seed companies will do that. They'll develop a corn species where they can turn that mechanism off in the seed where it doesn't produce new seed, so they can maintain a profit on the seeds that they create and they sell, which to me is morally wrong. So I will never buy another seed from a company like that again, ever. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm planting 4 seeds per cup. I'm not sure if all of them are going to germinate, but we're going to certainly try. We'll put a layer of soil over the top of that and tamp it down, and we'll water that and put it in the brooder, which is so far proving useful for starting seeds. Okay, I got my 25 cups with 4 seeds each, so there's 100 seeds in there with my corn. So now that the seeds are started in the brooder, stick with me and we'll watch it grow throughout the summer. I got some more planting to do. I got to figure out and strategize where and how to plant the rest of the crops. So I'm Jerry Hansen, your host here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I want to thank you guys for showing up and tuning in on my channel. Look forward to more videos coming your way. And it's starting to rain out here, so I'm going to go inside. So please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.